Let's take a look at some of the controls on the Godox TT685 version 2. You have these 7 buttons that you can use to select different things. So on the right hand side you have your on and off switch. On the left hand side you have your test button or your flash ready indicator. So when your flash is ready it turns green, and when it's green you can test to see if your flash is working by just pressing it, and the flash goes off just like that. Okay. Just above the test button you have your menu button, and this is a dedicated button that gets you into the menu items, and you can scroll through the menu items by using this rotary dial, and then select each of the menu items by pressing the center accept button. There's a video where I've done a bit more detail into the menu items, so I won't do that here, but I'll also go into more detail into each of these menu items when we look at setting the flash up for wireless triggering. So to back out of the menu, to go back to the main screen, you just press this button on the right and it backs out into the main screen. The 4 buttons from left to right on the top of the flash are called your function buttons. So this is function button 1, 2, 3, and 4. And these function buttons do different things depending on the mode that you're in. So right now I am in manual mode on the flash. Again, we'll go into more detail about manual mode and ETTL and so on. But in manual mode, the first function button is the one that you use to switch quickly between ETTL, which is the automatic flash function. Again, we'll cover that in more detail, and the manual flash function. The next one is your sync. So you have different sync modes that you can use, and the sync mode is what tells the flash when exactly in the shutter operation sequence the flash is going to go off. So in the normal sync mode, which is the default, the flash is going to go off exactly when the shutter is open. So it's in sync with the shutter opening and closing. The next sync mode, if we press, you'll see a little H with a squiggly lightning line. That is high sync mode. And what high sync mode does is it allows you to be able to shoot beyond 1/250th of a second. With most cameras, once your shutter speed goes beyond 1/200th to 1/250th of a second, the flash is not able to sync well with the shutter. And what then happens is you get this black banding on your image. If you've ever gotten that, it means you are shooting at above what is called the flash sync speed, and so your flash is not syncing well with the shutter, and you're getting these black bands on your image. So for you to be able to shoot above 1/250th of a second, you need to go into high sync speed mode. The other sync mode that we have on this flash is called second curtain sync. This is one that most people will probably not use, but you use it when you're using a slow shutter speed to create light trails behind a subject. In this mode, the flash fires just before the shutter closes, and so it freezes the subject but creates this blurry light trail behind them. And then finally, in that same manual mode, function 3 allows you to go into S1 or S2 mode. Now S1 and S2 mode are modes that allow your flash to see when other flashes are going off, and you can then use those other flashes to trigger it. So in the manual mode you have function 1, function 2 and function 3 giving you those options, and then towards the end you also have the squiggly line above this 7th button. To go into wireless mode, you press that button, and at the top left hand corner of your LCD screen you're going to see an indicator that shows you that you are now in wireless mode. When you press the button again, the screen is going to change color. When that happens, that means your speedlight is now in receiver mode. And in receiver mode, you will see an RX on the screen that indicates that you are in receiver mode. And then you also have a channel and a group setting that are indicated on the screen. So you're able to change the channel on which this speedlight receives signals. That channel should be the same as your trigger or whatever other controller you're using to trigger this speedlight. And then there's a group setting, and the group setting has to do with having multiple flashes that you might want to set the power for differently. So you group them into separate groups and then trigger them collectively within that same group. When you press it again, the color goes back to the original color, but then you're going to have these options available like group A, B, C, and D. And that means now this speedlight is now in transmitter mode. It's no longer acting as a receiver. It's not being controlled by other units. It is now the one that is controlling other units. So you can control other units that are compatible with this speedlight. It can act as a trigger or a transmitter. Function buttons number 2 and 3 are joined together, and basically that's what you use to reset your speedlight in case you want to reset it, and you just press the 2 buttons simultaneously and the speedlight will reset. Below the reset sign you have your multi-mode dial that can be used for different things. You can use it to select different values by rotating, or you can use it to change the flash power by rotating it. But you also have some dedicated functions inside the ring, and so on the right, extreme right, you have a lock item, you have a padlock there. So when you press that, you're going to see locked on the screen, and you use this to lock the settings that you have so that you don't accidentally change them when you bump against the speedlight. When you press it again, it goes off and you're able to change your settings. On the other side, you have your flash exposure compensation, and you use this when you are using the speedlight in TTL mode or the automatic mode. And so if you find that whatever flash power the camera and speedlight have agreed on is too much or too little, you can change whatever the camera and the flash have decided by either dialing it down or up in a third of a stop increments up to 3 and down to -3. So that's available to you in the ETTL mode. And then at the top you have your flash zoom. What you want with your flash zoom is for the zoom setting on the flash to match your focal length on your lens. And so you use that to change the zoom level by clicking it, and then it gets selected on the screen. And then you can use the dial to change the zoom level. This helps for your flash coverage to be able to match the scene that you're shooting depending on your focal length. And then the last one at the bottom is your mode. You have 3 modes. You have your manual mode where you change the flash power yourself. You have the ETTL mode where the camera and the speedlight work together to decide for you what the flash setting is. And this is particularly good when you are working in places where the lighting conditions are changing constantly, or you are doing event photography where you're moving from place to place and you don't want to have to worry about changing your flash power settings. And the final mode is your multi-mode. The multi-mode is also called the stroboscopic mode. The multi-mode is used to capture multiple images of a moving subject in a single frame. And that's it. That's the control panel for your Godox TT685. Next, we want to look at the wireless settings so that you can control this flash off camera, or you can use this flash as a transmitter and trigger other speedlights or strobes that are compatible.